Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon. Apa khabar semua? How are you? Okay. Now we have already looked into the introduction of aerospace industry, especially in Malaysia. We have introduced the landscape of the aerospace industry development starting from 1997. Officially, the Malaysian aerospace industry landscape started, and the initiatives being done in the first national aerospace blueprint, and there are a few initiatives that being suggested earlier and being implemented, and the industry growth in such manner. So it is starting with a very small numbers of industry, and we now have quite a handful numbers of industry players. So for today, the plan is to look into more detailed analysis on the Malaysian aerospace industry landscape, and probably right after our short break as well as our quiz, we will look at the strategic analysis on the global market. As an introduction, aerospace industry covers activities that relates to design, development, manufacturing, construction, maintenance and disposal of aircraft, spacecraft and missiles as well as rockets. Right? So this is the definition that we are going to use. So the scope of the aerospace industry, because sometimes in other countries, they have a slightly different aerospace industry definition. Okay, but in Malaysia, we will use these global aerospace industry activities, okay, which includes the enablers to the above activities. So those related to design, related to development, aerospace manufacturing, construction, activities in terms of maintenance, disposal of aircraft, as well as spacecraft and missile and rocket that have also been included in the other activities such as the regulatory. It includes regulatory body, okay, of both civil and military aviation. At the same time, it also includes human capital, the training provider, the higher education institutions, as well as infrastructure facilities, namely airports, fixed-base operator, and tech parks. Okay, so those are the definition, the scope of what we call it as the aerospace industries. But in this particular definition, we excludes the operation of aircraft. For example, like the airlines, how airlines operated, it does not include in this aerospace industry definition. Okay, operation of aircraft, spacecraft, and missile or rocket, including commercial aviation, general aviation, as well as military aviation. So I hope that you can really understand what do we mean by aerospace industry. So it's not including, for example, like airline operators. For example, like stewardess, stewards for airlines, but the airport operators are included in such way. It is to distinguish between what we call it as the operation of aircraft, spacecraft, as well as the operation of airports. Operation of airports include in this particular aerospace industry definition. Okay, a further background of Malaysia's aerospace industry will based on the current focus areas as follows. So as we have already highlighted earlier, alright, okay, the 4 focus areas for the first national aerospace blueprint, including the maintenance, repair, overhaul, Okay, the short form is MRO. That includes activities related to engineering and design. Okay, aircraft, commercial, maintenance, repair, overhaul activities such as line maintenance, heavy maintenance, engineering maintenance, engine maintenance, component maintenance and modifications, as well as military aircraft, ground system that include air traffic control, as well as air defense system, maintenance of simulators, as well as other ground support equipment. All right. So those are what we include in what we call it as the MRO subsector. And then we have the second subsector, that is aero manufacturing. Okay, that includes activity of engineering and design, aero structure that includes both the composites aerostructure as well as metallic aerostructure, right? So by this time, you have already gone through your aerospace structure subject. So you have already looked at the composites, metallic, and what are the criteria for those components to be used in the aerospace vehicle. And then we have the avionics aerospace manufacturing. Okay, and then we also have aerospace manufacturing related to the engine as well as the airframe equipment. Okay, so why we only have these? Because those are the activities that involve in the current aerospace manufacturing subsector in Malaysia. Okay, and then we move into system integration. Okay, what do we mean by system integration? Previously, we have already highlighted what are some example. So over here, we have system integration related to aircraft avionics. For example, like mission systems, in-flight entertainment, and also we also include spacecraft system integration, remote sensing, and satellite communication. Right, and also we look into unmanned aerial vehicles. Unmanned aerial vehicles, system integration related to simulators, flight that include flight simulators, air traffic control simulators, as well as maintenance simulators. And we also have system integration related to ground system, okay, ATC, ATE, and mechanical, and of course the missiles and rockets system integration. So we do not have a manufacturing of missile and rocket in Malaysia, but we do have system integration activities related to missiles and rockets. At the same time, we have a subsector related to education and training that provide new entrants. We look into how many institutions that provide Bachelor of Engineering in aerospace. We call it as a white collar, that provide basic training, basic education, as well as the bridging. We also have a master's, PhD program in aerospace, and new entrant for the technician, or we call it as the blue collar. So we look at the basic as well as the bridging program, and continuing professional development, where we have general educations, sport aviation, planetarium, as well as the museum, Royal Malaysian Air Force Museum. Let us move into the first sector, first subsector, which is the maintenance, repair, overhaul. All right. As we have seen since 1997, the MRO subsector has already grown into quite established subsector in aerospace. So although it has expanded beyond 5.5 billion ringgit Malaysia revenue, it is still below the 5% global market share target for 2015. So in the beginning, 1997, we do not have a target. We do not have a plan of what we want the aerospace industry, especially the MRO subsector, to be. So, but through the first National Aerospace Blueprint, we already set a target that by 2015, the MRO subsector should reach 5% of global market share. Unfortunately, even though we have those 5% target, we means the Malaysian aerospace industry. I think the value is around 3.2% of global market share. It is not even reaching 5%. This is due to the growing number of MRO activities. So many MRO players in Malaysia, they are struggling to cope with the quite a huge numbers of activities for MRO, and many of our players before 2015, they having trouble to provide services from nose to tail. Okay, that's the major problem, because the airlines, when they come and send their aircraft to certain MRO company, they want to make sure that they can do everything there. So in Malaysia, most of the time, if we have, for example, like engine MRO, we can do some limited services, and we have to ship the engine to our neighboring countries, like Singapore. So that deter some of the airlines, the clients, to send their aircraft to Malaysia. That's one of the problem that are being facing by the MRO companies in Malaysia during those days. So growth rate to be accelerated to achieve entry point project 1. EPP stand for entry point project number 1. This is falls under the national key NKRA and NKEA, National Key Economic Activity or Actions. So it falls under ETP, Economic Transformation Program number 5, which falls under business services. So under business services, there are 8 EPP projects. So some of the activities, as being highlighted earlier, there are 4 dedicated EPP project being dedicated for aerospace. So one of it is this EPP 1, which target set for 2020, where we aim to have a gross national income GNI of 13.4 billion and an employment within 20,700 workers. This is including blue collars as well as the white collars staff. We do have recent Airbus as well as SR Technic investments. This is two giant companies that expected to help speed up the growth of our Malaysian MRO activities, and more component MRO as well as modification business is required. As we can see here, these are some of the players in terms of the airframe. We have players of such as like Airbus helicopters, we have Aero, Aerospace Engineering under Malaysia Airlines system. Okay, some of them have already changed their name. If you try to search in their website, the current website, Hawker Pacific, we have Augusta Westland, Sepang Aircraft Engineering, MyCopter, Aero, Aerospace Technology, Sapura Aero, SUQ Jets Aviation, okay, Boston Aero Services, ATSC, Westar, and CTRM Aviation. So as I said, some of the players are no longer there. Some of the players are already merging to become a larger entity. So these are the players that looking into airframe MRO. Whereas in terms of engine MRO, we have GE in Subang, we have Aero Techno Power, okay, and for mechanical MRO, Hamilton Sandstrand, RUAG, RUAG, Parker Aerospace, Air Force Services, and many smaller company. We have big players as Destiny Prima, Aero Clear, okay, and AAR Landing Gear Services. So you will be familiar with these names later on when you apply for your industrial training. In terms of avionics MRO, okay, we have a very small number there. We have Honeywell, we have SR Technics, we have Zetro, and so on. Engineering services, we still have Strand Aerospace. Yes, we have Airbus. I don't think that we have Altran. Before, we have a French company called Altran doing the engineering services. engineering services for MRO, as well as aviation design center. Later when you do your assignment, I will highlight that what you need to do in terms of doing the analysis for MRO subsector. So from this chart, you can see that the growth of the MRO subsector for aerospace it is growing, but not that substantial. Okay, it's starting around 2009, around more than 4 billion ringgit, and it is barely reaching 5.5 billion ringgit in 2013. And okay, let us move into the next subsector, which is becoming more popular nowadays, which is the aero manufacturing subsector. Okay, so it is already achieved the target to be the global supply chain, because we said in 1997 that we want to focus on aero manufacturing with a very small number of companies, I think one or two. In 1997, we started with SME Aerospace, and the numbers grown significantly for aero manufacturing. So the industry now worth 2.7 billion. This is the data 2013. The previous lecture, I have already highlighted the value for 2018. Probably it's best for you to refer back to my previous YouTube video so that you can refer back what is the value for aero manufacturing in 2018. As we can see that the aerostructure activities for aerospace manufacturing, so we already have local companies that are situated in tier 2. The highest is OEM, and then we have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. This is depending on the supply chain. Okay, so because at this particular point, okay, there are so many narrow body program, single aisle program. When we say narrow body, it is a single aisle aircraft. So when we say wide body, we have a twin aisle aircraft. There are two aisles in the cabin. And then we also have activities related to avionics equipment. Right, that is not that many, but we have the player here. We have Honeywell. So most tier 2 suppliers are foreign-owned companies. Okay, because Malaysia do allow foreign-owned companies to set their factories in Malaysia. Okay, it can be 100% company owned by international body, right? And so this is why we open the door for the major players, especially for tier 1 companies. And then for airframe equipment, recent Safran's investment or being in Malaysia does really support and provide more jobs related to aero manufacturing. And at this particular point, before 2015, engineering and design activities are grouped under aero manufacturing, and new EPP called EPP5. Just now for MRO is EPP1. EPP5 being introduced to nurture the engineering and design activities. Okay, so these are just small example of a tier 1 company related to aero manufacturing. Okay, we have Altran, we have Trend, we have Spirit Aero System in Subang, we have Honeywell in Penang, we have Safran, Meister Bugatti Dauti. This is near Nilai. And tier 2 companies like CTRM, okay, they are doing composites parts for the wing. And then we have SME Aerospace, ACM in Bukit Kayu Hitam, UPK Aerospace, Plexus, Celestica, and SAM Aerospace in Penang as well. And then tier 4 and tier 3 companies, there are so many smaller companies. These are the backbone of the aero manufacturing, because the tier 4 and tier 3 companies, they are the suppliers to tier 2, whereas the tier 2 is the suppliers for tier 1, and tier 1 normally deal directly to the OEM, the primes, such as Boeing, Airbus, and other major players of aircraft manufacturer. All right. Looking into the system integration subsector, even though there is no specific target set in 1997, so local companies have successfully commercialized local design. And there's also a proud moment, but not that significant. So we have activities related to avionics, system integration. We have the player system integration by CTRM, and related to unmanned aerial vehicle or unmanned aerial system, and nowadays being called like that, UAS, unmanned. We have unmanned system technology, UST. We have Sapura defense. Oops. Okay, we have also spacecraft related activities, ATSB, and unfortunately ATSB has been closed down. And this is a GLC, government linked company under Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, but the company has already been closed down due to poor management. And then we have simulator system integration players like High-Tech, Padu. So we have Ikramatic, Sapura Defense. No major players or active players for rocket at that particular moment. Okay, we have Angkasa, or now is being called MISA. We have the Puspeka and our Royal Malaysian Air Force involved in the upgrading of our avionics system for our Hawk aircraft as well as our Russian aircraft. Okay, looking into the education and training. So as all of you know that there are main universities such as UTM offering Bachelor of Aeronautical Engineering. We have UPM, USM and UIAM offering Bachelor of Aerospace Engineering. So we have UKM looking into the astronomy side of it, the space science. UTHM offering Bachelor of Aircraft Maintenance Technology, pilot with piloting, as well as I think this is the MRO activities. UniKL, there are so many aircraft maintenance program. There are also Leader Aerospace program. This is a bridging program organized by Mike Meteor Advanced Manufacturing Sdn Bhd under Mike, and also a bridging program called TESD. These are for graduate engineer when they come out from the university, before they go into the aerospace industry, especially the engineering and design and manufacturing. So the government previously organized this program to bridge the gap, the knowledge that the industry wants and the knowledge that they acquire from the universities, and through these two programs, it is basically to accelerate the training. So as we can see here, throughout the year we have around 250 to 300 graduates being produced. So not that many compared to other program like electrical, civil or mechanical. They are even UITM alone are producing around 600 to 800 mechanical engineers every year. So for the whole Malaysia, aerospace communities, not that many. There's only 300 graduates engineer from various institutions. Bachelor's program to align with the latest technology trend and industry needs. That's why from time to time the program being accredited by the Board of Engineers Malaysia under Engineering Accreditation Council, as well as Engineering Technology Accreditation Council, to ensure the programs that are offered in the institution of higher learning are at par with the industry requirements. So as well as we have from time to time we have bridging program to fast track employment. At the same time, we also have a systematic program related to para professionals, and these are the skilled workers, right? So where we have a handful numbers of players, we are producing more than 2,000 skilled workers, diploma holders, as well as Bachelor of Engineering Technology graduates from various institutions, okay, to go into the marketplace. At the same time, program related to certification like licensed aircraft maintenance program at the technician level, at the engineers level as well. So we have so many players here. Okay, we have even Malaysia Airline System doing the apprenticeship, DTS, MATA, APR, Giat Mara, and so many players. The numbers are not only limited to those being displayed here, but these are the main player in 2015. So later, when you do your exercise for your assignment, you may need to find out who are the current players. Okay, so we have seen all the four subsectors players for Malaysian aerospace industry by 2015, right? And we would like to see what are the initiative, what are the impact of the first National Aerospace Blueprint so far. Through the Malaysian Aerospace Council, I put it as a short form here, acronym of MAC, leadership. Malaysian Aerospace Council, as being highlighted, it is being chaired by the Prime Minister. It is the members are cabinet members, some not all, it is selected cabinet members. And then we also have industry captains, leaders of the major players of the industry, from MRO, from aerospace manufacturing, from system integration, from the as well as the engineering and design subsector. Okay, so what are the thing that being implemented? For example, here incentive for aerospace industry. For example, like when a foreign investor like Safran or Spirit Aerosystem company, like they want to invest their into Malaysia, having their factory in Malaysia. So the government of Malaysia provided what we call it as the special incentive for foreign investment as well as domestic investment. So what we call it as a foreign direct investment as well as the domestic direct investment, FDI and DDI for aerospace industry. This is a very special program. So those companies will have special incentive given by the government of Malaysia. It is being implemented throughout 2010 until 2014 that resulted in the new investment coming in for aerospace. And at the same time, what the government has already implemented is tax exemption, blanket approval on imports of parts and components for MRO. So this is to encourage airlines to come to Malaysia because there will be no tax when the parts being imported. Okay, MRO being conducted in Malaysia, but some of the parts is not being produced in Malaysia, so it has to be imported from outside. That's why tax exemption is very helpful, very helpful, and it does bring in many contracts for MRO into Malaysia. Okay, and we also have MRO outsourcing, meaning that of aircraft components, ground systems, simulators, and ground support equipment. MRO outsourcing is that activities that being spurred or being supported by the government of Malaysia, where so let me just go back, sorry. Where it really helps the smaller players, where major players of MRO, when they obtain the contract, they can then outsource their services to smaller companies. So this eventually provide more jobs to the MRO activities or MRO communities, especially in Malaysia. And we also have international aircraft development program. So some of the Malaysian or aerospace manufacturing companies involved in major international aircraft development program. I can give an example here. One of it is the A400M. Okay, we get involved with aircraft development program for the design and manufacturing of the undercarriage door for A400M. Okay, and then we have a program called Offset. Any procurement by government agencies or government linked company which worth more than 50 million ringgit require offset program. Nowadays it is called industry collaboration program, ICP. You can try to search on an agency called Technology Depository Agency, TDA, under Ministry of Finance. Previously, offset program being handled by MITE, Malaysia Industry Government for High Technology. So under this initiative, under this strategic activities, any procurement, for example, we are Malaysia Airline, because it is a company under Khazanah Malaysia. So when they buy new aircraft, when other companies, for example, like the upgrading of our radar system, it costs about more than 200 million ringgit. So I think more than that. It's about not 200 million. It's about 700 million ringgit. So through that particular program, we can then have offset program to have like a special transfer of technology, a new training program for other subsector in aerospace especially. And at the same time, the implementation of the NKEA, and we have the ETP program, Economic Transformation Program, dedicated for aerospace. We have 4 EPP project that being implemented. So these are the logos of the companies, the agencies that are directly and indirectly involved in the implementation of the strategies under the first National Aerospace Blueprint. Looking into the foreign direct investment, and the government's investment incentive have brought in foreign players. So this is quite proud, where we have many aerospace players from all of the world coming into Malaysia and having their investment. Okay, so that finally fill the critical gap between the industry. So if we look at the aerospace manufacturing subsector, we have first tier companies such as Spirit Aerosystems and Honeywell. Okay, and for example, like second tier companies, Safran, ACM, this is owned by Boeing. Okay, and Aviatron. Okay, others like All Metal Services, engineering design company like Altran. Okay, already having their company in Malaysia. All right, and then for MRO, we have aircraft MRO such as Airbus in Sepang Aircraft Engineering and Airbus Customer Services in Kuala Lumpur International Airport, right? So they have the Airbus Customer Services Center. We also have Airbus helicopters and also components MRO like ROAC, SR Technics, and so many others, the smaller players. And the establishment of research and technology entity. Before 2011, we do not have any entity related to R&D. R&D only being conducted in the universities. So through the initiative under Malaysian Industry Government for High Technology, MITE, as well as other industry players, we managed to form an entity called Aerospace Malaysia Innovation Center. All right. So just for your information, I personally being seconded to MITE in 2011 to become the first Chief Operating Officer for Aerospace Malaysia Innovation Center. So I've been there for 1 year for AMIC, and then looking after the aerospace industry for another 3 years. So altogether 4 years looking at the aerospace industry development, and involved in the establishment of AMIC. So just to inform here that AMIC consists of major players such as Airbus. We have Airbus. We also have Rolls-Royce. We also have CTRM and UPM, University Putra Malaysia, being appointed as the lead member representing all the universities in Malaysia. And that's why I'm being seconded there and being appointed as the COO for AMIC, right? So you can visit AMIC website to see what are the activities related to AMIC. Okay? And then we have the domestic direct investment. Just now, foreign direct investment. Okay, domestic direct investment, where government facilitation has also stimulated investments by local businesses, because we want to ensure many foreign companies come to Malaysia at the same time establishing local companies, local players are being formed to get involved with the major aerospace players. So what we have done through the strategy is basically to strengthen position in global supply chain. Okay, so we have a company on engineering and design services such as Strand Aerospace. Okay, this company is actually formed in the UK, and then they have Strand Malaysia, right? And then through Strand Malaysia, we managed to secure engineering and design work packages from the UK to Malaysia. So there are, because Strand Aerospace employing Malaysian engineers, we have so many alumni from UPM working there previously, and there are also keep continuing providing placement for industry, for industry placement activities from time to time. And of course, CTRM being a global player. So before they become a global player, they are just a local player. By having this government facilitation, CTRM can now become tier 2 to major aerospace manufacturer, and CTRM are having contract from both Boeing and Airbus. Okay, we also have SME Aerospace, we have UPK, Celestica, and Plexus. These are local as well as foreign company. It has a Strand, CTRM, and SME Aerospace are local companies, Strand Malaysia, and then these three are local foreign companies. Okay, and at the same time, we also have expanded the MRO businesses like Aerospace Technology, not just doing military maintenance activities. Is already being expanded into more civil, commercial MRO. We have Boston Heavy Industry Company, BHIC Aero Services, as well as Sepang Aircraft Engineering, Aero Techno Power, looking at the engine MRO, as well as intensified training and education business, such as Unike Almiat being supported by MARA. So they're being equipped with equipments, at the same time manpower. It is so expensive to equip Unike Almiat with such equipments. And we also have MARA Aero Tech, that take responsible to the Asia Aerospace City. Okay, the investments by local and foreign businesses, which have helped in clustering of aerospace industry players. So like MRO, we have Malaysia International Aerospace Center, MIAC in Subang, and we also have MIAC in Sepang. We have KLIA2, we have Sky Park, we have Senai Airport, right? This is just a snapshot of land area in Subang, okay? And aerospace manufacturing, we have Aerostructure in Klang Valley, Malacca Corridor, Avionics, also Northern Corridor. Now we also have Negeri Sembilan, near Labu area, Labu Sendayan area, also being dedicated for aerospace activities. And we also have Corridor Utara, and more what we call it as an aerospace park being introduced throughout Malaysia. Industry-led aerospace R&D is now undertaken with the involvement of local players and major OEMs, namely Airbus and Rolls-Royce. This is actually an initiative under the offset program. So there are offset activities, offset obligation by Airbus, as well as offset obligation by Rolls-Royce that initiated in terms of the establishment of AMIC. So these are, among others, earlier research teams under AMIC, tool design, manufacturing, innovative manufacturing, virtual reality, and some of the activities are still ongoing. And we also have a biomass valorization for biofuel. So biosphere project, aircraft galley panel made of bioresin. This is the activities involve UPM. We also have this virtual reality immersive system for training. So involve UKM, University Malaya, and many other entities. Right? So this is just a snapshot. There are so many other research and technology grant being collaboration between the industry and the universities being awarded by AMIC from 2011 until now. Now it's already 10 years. Maybe it would be good to see what are the outcome from AMIC. Okay, so we have seen the development of aerospace industry. I've shown to you the good progresses from 1997 until 2015. But it is still not enough. So what we can say here, although progress, Malaysian aerospace industry has already progressed to a new level compared to 1997, right? The Malaysian aerospace industry high-tech content and sophistication is still unimpressive. So we have achieved such a great milestone from 1997 to 2015. And then it is still not enough. Because why? Since most of our industry, the Malaysian aerospace industry activities are at the tail end of aircraft life cycle. So we are not involved in major aircraft activities, major aircraft design activities from the beginning. We are mainly focused at the end. MRO is already at the end of aircraft life cycle. R&D, we are just started to do it in more serious manner, okay? But we still couldn't penetrate in terms of getting more job packages, design packages in the early beginning of aircraft life cycle. So if we can see here, normally aircraft program, any typical aircraft program or engine development program, it will last around 30 to 50 years. Okay, so you can see here cash flow against year. Okay, so you can, what we meant here basically, cash is being spent for the first 13 to 14 years of aircraft life cycle. There's a lot of money coming out from the company. For example, let's say Malaysia would like to invest, would like to start to build our own aircraft. So for the next 15 years or maybe 10 years, we are going to spend money. Spend money on what? Spend money on hiring engineers, spend money to build factories, spend money to design our own aircraft or spacecraft. So that's where we spend money. And then where we get the money out, where we get the return of investment for it is basically after 15 years up till 50 years. After 15 years until 13 years, meaning that 15 years spent is the time to make money, because you have already a template of a wing, template of the engine, template of this and that. This is where the money comes in, okay? And beyond that is the aircraft life cycle is getting less and less because there are more MRO activities, repair has to be conducted, parts and component has to be refurbished, and so on. So we can see here in terms of our involvement, Malaysian companies' involvement in R&D. We only managed to get around 150 million ringgit. It is sound a lot, but it is very small compared to the other countries that obtain the work packages for design. Okay, and then in terms of production, right, built to print aero structures, we do not do complex structures. CTRM, Spirit Aero, ACM, and many small players, they are only doing less complex components. Built to print aerostructure and avionics component assembly, not a major complex structures, and it's already worth of 2.5 billion. And commercial MRO, mainly airframe and engines, low intensity in components MRO, almost none in modification. So even though we do military MRO, okay, it is quite, you can see no companies doing heavy modification for helicopters, for example, or for any type of aircraft. It's not being done in Malaysia. Alright, so it is still not enough, meaning that what we have to do, we have to go beyond that. Right?